Hi, it's Stephanie Wolff, the CEO of the Novus Center and co-inventor of the Phoenix. If you're considering treatment with myself or Novus, or maybe the Phoenix, perhaps you want to know a little bit about my medical background and our history. I was recently interviewed, and so we split the interview into 3 parts. Part 1 is about the background of my medical training and why we started Novus. Part 2 is about how we learned what the best treatments for erectile dysfunction were and the history behind the making of the Phoenix, the home use device. And Part 3 is about what Novus can do to improve your sexual performance, something that you can't get with the Phoenix alone. And lastly, we'll be discussing what's next on the horizon for Novus and our patients. I hope you enjoy it.
Today we're flipping the script. We're going to interview Stephanie Wolff. She is a board-certified physician's assistant. She is the CEO of the Novus Center, co-founder of Launch Medical, the company behind the Phoenix, and today, this is her story. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's doing good.
Good. So, if you could just, for the audience, where did you study medicine at?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Phoenix, Arizona, and I went to ASU, Arizona State University, for my undergraduate, where I received my Bachelor's of Life Sciences. And then from there, I went to, it's called Midwestern University, which is actually a DO program, or osteopath program. There's a DO and then there's an MD, but at the DO program, they had what was called a PA program, which is a physician's assistant. And that's where I went to school. And believe it or not, it was in Glendale, Arizona. So imagine that, here we are.
Nice.
Yeah.
And when you got out of school, where did you first start practicing medicine?
Yep, so when I first got out of school, I was working for a plastic surgeon dermatologist. It was a husband and wife duo. They were dual degrees, both MDs and then DDS. So they did a lot of reconstructive surgery, maxillofacial surgery, stuff like that. So with them, I did a lot of pre-op, post-op. I was first assist in the surgery room and did lasers and Botox and, fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I worked with them for a couple years, and it was kind of during that time where I was kind of getting a little bored. I knew that I had gone to PA school for a reason, and that was to help people, and I wasn't really feeling like I was helping people. So I actually started working for this clinic that was serving kind of like low-income patients who are on, what you would call Medi-Cal here in California. And the reason why I did that is because I knew that these patients were sick and that they needed help, and I really wanted to help people, number one, and I wanted to learn. I really wanted to learn everything as much as I could. So I went and I worked for that practice probably for about 4 years. And I learned so much while I was there. I also became burnt out, for sure. You're seeing about 50 patients a day. It was pretty crazy.
Wow.
But it was good. It was good for me. So from there, I went to a different family practice. At that point in time, I had kids, and so I was just working a little bit less while I was being a mom. And then we moved to California. So, I'm a PA, and I've been a PA since 2003. So I've been practicing for 18 years. We moved to California in 2009 because of the housing market. Arizona basically is founded on the housing market. So when it crashed, it was time for us to move. A lot of our patients were moving, and my job was going away, believe it or not. We moved to California, and I started working at the hospital in Glendale, actually.
Glendale,
California.
not Glendale,
Yeah.
Arizona.
Yeah. And, I pretty much did the same thing that I had been doing all these other years in Arizona, seeing everything as young as, babies to what I like to call my hundreds clubs. That's what they called themselves. Mostly women, believe it or not, were in my hundreds club. I don't think I had any men in the hundreds club. But I took care of patients as far as like pap smears and physicals, diabetes, blood pressure. I'd see the teenage girls that come in to get on birth control, things like that. So it was a wide range of patients. Definitely nothing like I was used to seeing in Arizona when I worked for that other clinic, but it was what I needed, and it's what I loved doing.
Right. So you're an expert in hormone optimization. Where did that start? Did that start at this hospital?
You know, this is kind of what got interesting for me is throughout the years, I started noticing that these patients would come in to see me and I would ask them to tell me, what medications they were on. And almost every single one of them would pull out their wallet or their purse and they would bring out this kind of like a long piece of paper that looked basically like a scroll, like they could just, shake it on the floor. And it would have their entire list of medications. And it was always 10 to 15 medications. They would be on 4 different ones for their blood pressure, 4 different ones for their diabetes, 2 different ones for their cholesterol. Then of course they had acid reflux. Now they've got osteoporosis. Now they have chronic bronchitis. It's like, wait a minute, what happened here? Why are they on all these medications, number one? And number two, none of them felt any better being on all these medications. None of them had controlled blood pressure, none of them had controlled diabetes, and none of them were sleeping, none of them were having sex, none of them were actually enjoying their lives. And so I kind of took a step back and I was like, I actually feel like modern medicine is not helping these patients. I feel like they're actually making them worse. And so I took it upon myself and I thought, if this was my grandparent or my parent, my dad coming in here, what would I do for them? And I thought, honestly, I would take them off of all the medication and I would start over because this isn't working for you. So it was during that time that I started doing my own research and I was like, back in the olden days, there wasn't this medication. So what did we use? We used, herbs, we used food, we used exercise, meditation, we used natural sources. So I kind of went back to that and I started, researching and joining classes and just kind of figuring out what else could I do to help my patients because they really wanted help. They didn't know who to turn to. And quite honestly, they trusted doctors because that's what they were told. We went to school. We were the ones that were supposed to help them. So I started working with my patients, with their diet and their exercise and supplements. And it was making a difference, but there was something that I was missing. And I started looking into hormones. And I thought, well, if you think about your body is basically a machine or a vehicle. I always like to describe it as a vehicle to my men. And you think about the gas that you put in, or you think about the oil that you have to put in. You're always changing your oil. Why? Well, because if you don't, your transmission blows up. Your car doesn't run right? Now you got to get a brand new one. Well, unfortunately, you can't get a brand new body. It doesn't exist. So why don't we take care of the oil and the gas and the spark plugs and everything that we need to in this body that we have? So it was during that time that I enrolled in A4M. A4M is an anti-aging company or schooling that helps doctors basically introduce integrative medicine into their practice using different techniques like hormone replacement therapy and stem cells and PRP and shockwave therapy, just different ways of helping patients. So I actually went away to the school and I was gone for a couple weeks. And I remember leaving the practice, to go further my schooling. And when I came back, the physicians basically sat me down and they said, you can't go that long again. We can't see your patients. I was like, what are you talking about? And they said, look, I don't think you understand. We're not in the business of helping patients, like healing them. If you heal them, then they never return. That's not what this is about.
Someone actually said this to you.
Yeah. And I took a step back and I was like, that's exactly why I got into this business, was to help heal patients. Unfortunately, that for me is what drove me. And I remember going home that day and I was talking to Dustin and I just said, I don't think I can do this anymore. I really always wanted to help people. And so if I can't do this, working in family practice, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, have you thought about opening up your own practice? You know, you've got the clientele. I was on a 3-month waiting list. He's like, I'm sure people will come. You know, you tell them what you have to offer and they'll be there. And it was so scary, you know, going out on my own because I don't know, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think that anybody would come see me. So we decided to open up Novus, and the first year was a little tough. We struggled a little bit. Thank you for watching part 1. Part 2, we discuss the best treatment options for sexual performance as well as erectile dysfunction. We also talk about how we helped invent the Phoenix, which is the first ever home use acoustic wave device. Click on the link below to watch the video.